Stock Eliminator. Variants of cars, older machines, and a lot of the new factory hot rods, the Camaros, the Cobra Jets, and the Challengers. The factory getting back involved in NHRA Stock Eliminator racing. Factory stock cars, we'll describe them as they come up. Some older machines, the Camaros, Chevy 2s, Mustangs. Then we got a few of the more unusual combinations. We've got some interesting pairs coming up here in the first round of Stock Eliminator. Again, Super Stock. Do want to make everybody aware that there has been a revised ladder issued. Super Stock. The ladder has been revised. You'll need to check out the new ladder. Check and see who you're running. Make sure you don't have a heads up because the ladder has been revised and some of the cars on the qualifying sheet, it's as far as your pairings are concerned, for round number 1 have been changed. So everybody in Super Stock, be aware of the fact that there has been a revised ladder issued. It is posted on the Division 3 trailer down there in the pavilion area. You can stop by, check out the ladder. Please don't take it. Everybody else needs to walk by and check it out as well. But Stock Eliminator getting ready to come up next. Bob Schmalz, a little 396-69 Camaro. Going to be taking on the Grocery Getter. The Malibu wagon out of Downing Farms coming down from Michigan. 305 cubic inch Malibu. Going to be dialed in on a 1202. Schmalz E-Stock automatic machine going to be dialed in on 1170. So the Malibu wagon with the small block gets the handicap start over the big block 396-69 Camaro. Only problem is there is no Schmalz. What's the expression? You're killing me, Schmalz? You're not here. Tough break for the runner out of Poland, as in Poland, Ohio, not Poland, like across the pond. So Pat Downing gets what is referred to as a competition bye run, meaning that his competitor not able to answer the bell for this round of eliminations. So Patrick gets a freebie. He'll dance on into round number 2, unmolested, uncontested, reaching for the other end of the racetrack. Little 305 cubic inch Malibu wagon. Did you notice the front end wheel stand that wagon did? Yeah, baby. 1202, 108 miles an hour. Let's see, Patrick said he'd run 1202, and he ran 1202. Tough break for Bob Schmalz, not able to answer the bell. Here's Brian Merkles. LS-powered Pontiac Firebird and one of the new Copo Camaros. 1046 to a 933 dial. A little over a second handicap start. That'll be 2 bulbs on the Christmas tree. Brian Merkles, Max Auto Parts, Napa Auto Parts machine there on the left-hand side. Going to go first. Jimmy Reed's brand new Copo Camaro going to be giving chase. As soon as we get everybody in, staged and ready to go. Reed's in. Waiting on Brian. Brian number 2 in Division 3 competition last year in Stock Eliminator racing. Win light. Brian Merkel. Jimmy Reed couldn't wait long enough. He had to wait a little over a second. He waited a half a second. It's tough to do, let me tell you. 9:30 at 142 by Reed. But his day's done. 10:57 by Brian. He gets to come back for the round number 2 just a little bit later on. How about this for a handicap start? 4-cylinder Ford Escort. Steve Polhill out of London, Ontario, Canada. 1560 the dial. 1090 the dial for the 396 4-speed 68 Camaro there on the left-hand lane. That little Escort's going to be almost a half track before the Camaro gets to leave. There goes Steve. Kyle has to wait and wait. Go. And now he's off and running. Polhill, look at that handicap start. Way out in front. That white Escort. Here comes the Camaro. Has he got enough real estate at the top end? No, he doesn't. 1089.1, breaks out by 9 thousandths of a second. Polhill goes 1564 and his 1560. He had the better light. And that little 4-cylinder, the Escort, gets to come back and play. round number 2. Here's Zach Ross. 340, 72 Plymouth. John Kunczak, another one of the new Copo Camaros. This with the 427. 943 the dial for Kunczak, 1124 for Zach Ross. Handicap start, little 340 CUDA. Classic early 70s hot rod there on the left lane. And what will someday be a classic Copo Camaro here on the right. Remember me telling you earlier, it is tough to wait on those handicap starts? Kunczak goes red. Couldn't wait. 1123 by Zach on his 1124 dial. And he's off and running. Here's a heads-up run. G-Stock automatic. Both cars fit into the same category. The 85 Camaro with the 305, a little bit heavier 69 Nova, but with the bigger motor. The 350 combination out of Ray Skillman Motors in Whiteland, Indiana. Joey Ship on the left-hand side. MJ Quinn on the right. G-Stock automatic. A pair of them. MJ, the Derby City Covers runner out of Louisville. In qualifying, MJ had the quicker of the two. But this is racing. You sometimes don't always show just how quick your car will go. And in this pair, first one to the finish line wins. There is no breakout. Two cars of the same class race each other. First one to the finish line gets to come back and play one more time. Randy's in, MJ's in, tree comes down. Green lights a pair, and out of the gate they run. G-Stock automatics a pair, and identical reaction times. 11:38 by Quinn gets the win at 101 miles an hour. 11:65 by Joey at 112. Both of them 47 thousandths on the reaction timers. Rick Rondes, factory stock D. The drag pack challenger for the UPS driver out of Galloway. Mark Williams, B-Stock automatic. LS1 powered Chevrolet Camaro. Handicap start to the Camaro. Here comes the 5.7 Hemi. Dodge Challenger trying to track him down. Williams trying to steal a little bit on the starting line. Finish line winner picker says give it to the Dodge. 1038 on his 1008. 1095 by Williams on his 1040. Either driver even close down at the other end of the racetrack to their dial, but Rick Ronde gets the W, and he gets to come back one more time. Darren Poole Adams and Jim Bailey. Factory hot rods a pair. Copo Camaro left side. Drag pack Challenger right lane. 392 Hemi and a little 350 with the Whipple blower sitting on top of it. 1014 to a 988 dial. Giddy up and go. Green lights in the left lane, green light in the right lane. Winner picker says give it to Darren Adams at the other end. 1023 on his 1017. Jim Bailey goes 9904 on a 991 dial. Too quick by 6 thousandths of a second down at the other end of the racetrack. Your number one qualifier gets to come back for round number 2. Robert Holmes and Dick Kincaid. Kincaid's E-Stock automatic, 67 Chevy 2 on the right-hand side, little 327 Power Glide machine. Holmes in the left-hand lane, 77 Bird, 400 cubic inch Pontiac. The Kimo Asabi Pontiac for the runner out of Huber Heights. Better reaction time to Robert. Win light, though, to Dick Kincaid. 11:17 on his 11:16. Holmes goes down track, runs an 11:44 on an 11:46 dial. Ben Wenzel. Those of you that may be new to the racing circuit, Ben Wenzel up on the left-hand side, 74 years young. Bought this Chevrolet new in 1967. Won the U.S. Nationals with it in 1967. And is still racing the same car today in 2017. 50 years of racing the same car. 302 4-speed, Z28, one owner, low mileage. Only driven on the weekends. Snicker. Taking on Billy Baker's Buick. And Wenzel gets the win, 10:54 to 117, 11:44 by Baker. 74-year young Ben Wenzel cuts the 11 thousandths of a second reaction time and gets the win. Ronnie Trotman and Dave McGee. SS Nova's a pair. 350 71 edition left side, 396 69 edition right lane. Handicap start, going to go to Ronnie. Going to go to David. The big block getting a handicap start over the small block. Martha, tell me it ain't so. Pretty much dead even out of the gate. Top end, Ronnie's going to get the win. 11:42 on the 40, 51 on the 50. 3 thousandths of a second. Difference down at the other end of the racetrack by Troutman. And he won that one on the starting line. He was better by 10 thousandths of a second. Gary Merrick's Baldwin Motion. Talk about an old factory and dealership muscle car out of Baldwin Chevrolet, the Motion Camaro. 402 cubic inch, big block underneath the hood of that 70 Camaro. He gives up the handicap start. Little 305 combination. Tommy Reeves out of Cincinnati. In-stock automatic machine. 1210 to a 1040, and Gary Merrick in the Baldwin Motion car gets the W, 1044 at 127. 1209 by Reese, 12099 on a 1210 dial. Took the finish line stripe by 86 thousandths of a second and broke out by one of them. Ouch. Here's a pair of classics. 64 Hemi Plymouth Savoy and a 67 Chevrolet Camaro. Denny Hellman's 4-speed 327. You could hear Denny wind up that 327 and dump the clutch, and the car went nowhere. Don't know if there was a funkmaltion. That'd be like a malfunction. Jimmy Nichols goes 10:33. Easy win for him. Denny had problems there right at the hit. Well, I'm telling you what, that 327, he dumped the clutch, and something inside the can on that car was not happy. Skied the motor. You could hear the RPMs singing all the way back here inside the tower. Steve Zornig, the Dodge Dakota, number 2 in the points chase. How about a 360 cubic inch 2002 Dodge Dakota? Yep. Taking on another one of the Copo Camaros. This one out of Michigan. Mike Savoy Chevrolet. Steve Novosel at the wheel. Steve, long time campaigner in the stock and super stock wars. Dialed in 969 for the Copo Camaro. Steve Zorni on an 1199 in the McCormick Motorsports Mopar machine. Big handicap start. Steve's got to sit and wait. Be patient. Tree's going to come down. They're both in, locked and loaded. Zorning's off and away green. Steve almost waits long enough. 16 thousandths of a second too quick out of the gate. Zorning picks up another round win. Cruises on through 1199.6 on the 1199 dial. Can you say you had that one dialed, Martha? I knew you could. Little starting line prep work before our next pair gets ready to roll. All I can tell you about this one is you think that little white Ford a while ago had a big head start? How about this pair coming up? Luke Umahar at the wheel of the Challenger out of Indiana. 1040 the dial for the factory hot rod. 2009 edition. Claude Buchan out of Madison, Ohio, 73 years young, at the wheel of a 4-cylinder, 86 Ford Tempo. Going to be dialed in at a 1680. Can you say a 6.4 second handicap start? Can you say that that little tempo is going to be way out in front down there, and Luke's going to have to be very patient on the starting line? I mean, like, he's going to have to count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. I mean, there's going to be a whole lot of Mississippis out there. Here we go. A little prep on the starting line, and here comes one of our largest handicap starts of the weekend, at least so far. Claude's little tempo. 1680 the dial. Zoomers. Ubahar out of Bristol, Indiana. Drag Pack Challenge. 345 combination. He's got 205 cubic inches more than that little Ford's got. Almost doesn't seem fair. Well, that's why we give Claude the handicap start. 1680 to a 1040. These races are wild if everybody's green. We saw that earlier as Pole Hill got the win. Now let's see what Claude can do. Luke's got to be patient. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi. There goes Luke. Look how far out in front that tempo is. Ubahar coming. Top end. I think he's going to run out of real estate. He gets him. 1041 on the 1040 dial. Claude gets down to the other end of the racetrack, runs just a little bit too quick. 1673 on his 1680 dial. Whew. And they were dead even out of the gate. I mean, virtually identical reaction time, separated by 1,000th of a second. Justin sold that, Donnie Beeler. Congratulations to Luke. That was a long wait on the starting line. And he set and waited and made it paid off. Donnie Beeler's stick shift Corvette out of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, taking on Soldat's 98 Mustang. Out of New Hudson, Michigan, winner picker at the top end, lights up. Donnie Beeler, 1108 on the 1112. 1255 on the 1260. Beeler 17 thousandths of a second closer to his dial with the Corvette. Doug Baker's 428. Cobra Jet 68 Mustang. Dave Edwards 84 Pontiac. We go from a factory muscle car to a factory muscle car wannabe smog car. Over here on the right-hand side, little 305 in 1984. Government had restricted these cars down so much. They were nothing more than a nameplate. Doug Baker's 428 Mustang. Now giving chase. Baker's Cobra Jet trying to close in, top end. Not going to get him. 1125 on the 1095. Baker having some problems. 1156 by Dave Edwards. Little 4-cylinder, little V8 4-speed. Bob Downing's Chevy truck comes up next on the left. Mike Fuller's factory stock E Cobra Jet Mustang going to give chase. Little 350 Chevy S10 out in front. Here comes the pony. Here comes the pony. Galloping up on him at the end, gets him 1010 on a 1005 at 125. Downing goes 1281.4 on a 1282 dial. Breaks out by 6 thousandths of a second. Down at the other end of the racetrack, it looks like a little cleanup after Robert's truck goes down the racetrack. Super Gas, need you to lanes, please. Super Gas. Need our 990 cars to the staging lanes, please. Super Gas. Needs you to the staging lanes, please. Craig Marshall's hot rod comes up next. The 74 Dart Sport out of Columbus. the Eastland Crane Dodge material. Mopar taking on Steve Sullivan's little 302 in stock automatic Mustang. Former division champ Sullivan over on the right-hand side be dialed in 12-11. Marshall be dialed in 11-10. So a couple of bulbs, 1 second on the tree. Each bulb on the tree, 5/10 here on the stock eliminator side of the world. So 2 bulbs difference as the tree comes down. Sullivan's Mustang gets to go first. Marshall gets to try and track him down. We'll clean up there on the starting line, and looks like we're about ready to go. Marshall gives up the handicap start. Sullivan's Mustang, red light. It's all over with. Craig Marshall can already sit inside the car and go, Yahoo! I like it. Whoopee. He's going to round number 2. 11:24, 12:08 by Sullivan. 17 thousandths of a second too quick off the line. Hands the win over to Marshall. Craig looks over down at the other end of the racetrack and says, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Bill Simsprott up next, the 327 66 Chevy Nova. And Billy Fodor up in the Trans Am. Billy having problems with the Corvette in super stock. Going to see if he can make it up with the E-Stock automatic Pontiac here in the stock eliminator category. Simsprott, though, that little 327 Chevy 2. Can be a tough customer. Fodor's Pontiac over on the left-hand side. Garden City, Michigan-based machine. Looking over his shoulder now going, hey, Bill's supposed to be there. And there he is. Wow, 11:20 on the 11:24. Fodor takes the finish line stripe by a train length. And Bill Simsprott, who was dead late out of the gate, gets the win. 11 flat on the 10.99. Fodor, anybody back there in the pit area with Bill, put all of the sharp objects away. He's going to look at that time slip and shake his head. Bob Marshall now taking on Joey Wilkes, wheel stand. LS powered 2002 Pontiac Firebird. Handicap start went to Robert. Joey trying to reel him in, top end, gets him. 10:49 on a 10:51. Again, both drivers breaking out or running too quick to their respective dial-ins. Joey closer. Bob Marshall, that is the boss man. Pops Sr. of the Eastland Crane team. Bob just became crew chief for all the rest of the boys. Matt Antrobi is taking on Todd Kuhn now, little 70 Pontiac GTO. Antrobius H-Stock automatic, a 350-89 Camaro. Alabama-based runner over the left-hand side. 11:32 to an 11:31 dial, and if you're watching the starting line, you could probably tell who had the better reaction time. Same person that had the winning light at the other end, Matt Antrobius, 36 on a 32. 111 miles an hour, 11:30 by Todd Kuhn. 11:30 with a 2 on an 11:31 dial. 8 thousandths of a second too quick. Had a little bit of room down there at the other end and just couldn't get her reeled in. Daryl Bureski's 455 70 Oldsmobile. The 442 convertible taking on Caleb McFarland's stick shift. LS1 powered Pontiac over on the right-hand side. There goes Daryl. Here comes Caleb. Wheels up, wheels down. Third gear. Slaps it into high. Now the LS power plant trying to run 10-12 for McFarland. Gets it done. 10-12 with a 4 at 131. 11:45 on the 11:44. Daryl had the better light. Caleb closer to the number. You take all the little numbers and the big numbers, put them in a pot, stir them together. True margin of victory, 18 ten thousandths of a second for McFarland on that run. Good side-by-side race. David Conkey and Joe Martin. 396, 4-speed, 69 Camaro for the runner out of North Olmsted. Conkey out of Youngstown. 78 Camaro, 350, another stock automatic entry. Over there in the left lane. Conkey's off and running. Here comes Joey. Ooh. Joey. Little late. 10:21 on a 10:25. Martin's reaction time did not start with a 0. And when that happens, you're usually not going to pick up the wind slip down at the other end. 12-12, dead on by Conkey. At 108 miles an hour, and that's 78. Z28 Camaro comes back next round. Charles Weber and Richard Zink. Remember me telling you our starting line reaction time starting with anything but a 0 wasn't good? Yeah, both of these guys started with a 1. Both of them snoozing out of the gate. Weber gets the win, 10:88.9. Beats an 11:82 by Richard Zink's Ford. But that was a wrong place, wrong time. If Richard Zink had any kind of a reaction time that started with a 0, he would be moving on to round number 2. Super Gas, need you to lanes, please. If you're not there yet, Super Gas needs you to the staging lanes, please. Come on down. Round number 1, Super Gas needs you to lanes. Paul Boster's Corvette. Taking on Mike Delahanty, another classic stock eliminator machine, 426-64 Plymouth Belvedere. Delahanty off and running. Boster out of Pataskala into Corvette. Remember that reaction time thing we've been talking about? Yeah, Paul's didn't start with a 0. Mike's did. He gets the win, 10:34 on the 10:27. Foster goes 10:78 and comes up short. There's another heads-up race. We got 4 of them in this opening round. D stock automatic a pair. Dan Walcott and Dave Pazik. Like our first pair. First one to the finish line, your winner. Pazik out of New Kensington, Pennsylvania. Trying to go to round number 2. Out of the gate they go. Oh, baby. Dan Walcott trying to steal one on the line. Had the slower of the 2 cars. Runs an 11:07. 10:71 by Pazik. Gets the win. And David gets the win, and that heads up. Here's another heads up. John Serrett. John Nekaporchik. B-Stock Automatic, the Firebird. LT1 powered entry left lane. The Camaro. LT1 powered entry right side. Out of the gate they go. Ooh. Great light, both of them. Who can get to the stripe first? Going to be John. Nekaporchik 10:51 at 124. 10:77 by John Serrett. Gave it a ride. He was 11 on the tree. Nekaporchik wasn't going to give anything for granted there, as he was 007 off the line. An F-Stock automatic heads up. A D-Stock automatic heads up. A B-Stock automatic heads up. But here comes Rodney Long and Chuck Beach in the F-Stock automatic heads up. So a little starting line prep work before the Carriagetown Chrysler Dodge Jeep. 68 Barracuda of Chuck Beach pulls in. He'll be running right alongside fellow F-Stock automatic racer Rodney Long, the runner at the wheel of the 69 Camaro. He'll be in the left lane. Chuck on the right, and again, heads up race. First one to the finish line. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. 340 cubic inch, 68 Barracuda. 350 cubic inch, 69 Camaro. I'd swear we just jumped in the Wayback Machine with Sherman and Professor Peabody. Talk about taking a step back in time. Factory muscle cars from the late 60s. Beach, wheel standing. Barracuda going to head for the other end of the racetrack. Rodney Long going to be right alongside of him. Now in qualifying, Chuck's had the better of the two cars, the quicker of the two. But when it comes to class eliminations, sometimes pull all but a couple of quarts of oil out, you cool down the engine, you get everything just as prime as you can. 11:10 at 102. Beach gets the win. 11:32 by Rodney Long at 114 miles an hour. Chuck wins his end up, and he'll be back for the next round of eliminations. John Foxbauer, B-Stock automatic in his 68 Mustang. Bob Michaels, K-Stock automatic, 1962 Pontiac Grand Prix. Talk about a classic hot rod. I love this car. Neat car, 389 combination underneath the hood. Michael out of Lebanon, 71 years young, and he's your winner. John Foxbauer turns on the red bulb back on this end of the racetrack. And that, boys and girls, means we get to see that 62 Grand Prix at least one more time. 12:10 at 107 for Michael. 10:39 by Foxbauer on his 10:42. Michael Rooks, D-Stock automatic, Plymouth Duster, 340 combination. Taking on TC Morris. Morris, another one of our competitors. Right smack dab in the middle of things. Chasing the points chase this year. The E-Stock automatic, Pontiac GTO. For those of you that are not automotively acclimated, Pontiac 2004 and 2005 imported this body from Australia. The Holden plants down there made it. Pontiac GTO badging on it. Neat race cars. They never caught on with the Pontiac GTO public, but neat race cars. 1098 at 116. TC gets to come back and play. Rook out of Tip City. Let's see, the Tip City runner gets to make the early trip home to Tip. Trip to Tip. Tip to Trip. Kevin Zaskowski taking on Randy Taylor. Zaskowski, D-Stock automatic. Everybody in the Zaskowski family races. Everybody in the Zaskowski family runs a stick shift car. Well, all except for Kevin. Randy Taylor's K-Stock automatic. Little 305 Camaro on the right-hand side. There goes Randy. Here comes Kevin. Kevin's kind of the black sheep of the family with the automatic. Takes a lot of ribbing. Gets the round win here, though, and he gets to go na-na-na-na-na. 1090 on the 91 by Kevin. 1172 on the 1174 by Taylor. Down at the other end of the racetrack. He comes up a little bit short, 13 thousandths to be exact. Ryan Rudrick and Jim Baburka. Baburka out of Coropolis, Pennsylvania, coming over from the Keystone State. Another Copo Camaro, another 427 combination. Rudrick and another one of the 340 Plymouth Dusters. This time a D-Stock automatic, 1970 entry. There goes Ryan. Here comes Jimmy. Baburka trying to chase down the Duster. Copo Camaro closing hard, top end. Everybody down there at the finish line watching. Wow, Ryan Rudrick gets the win. 16, dead on 8 at 117. 946.0 on a 947 dial. Jimmy too quick by 100th of a second down at the other end of the racetrack. And Joe Patet and Gary Russell in next. How about a 350 4-speed? 67 Camaro and a 350 automatic 69 Nova. Joseph a little quick out of the gate. Gary Russell making his way through the gearbox, heading for the other end. Russell stopped the timers, 1080, dead on 9 on his 1080 dial. 11:62 by Joe. But too quick off the starting line. Lights the red bulb and hands it away here on the starting line. I do want to remind everybody that if you are with a car that is out on the starting line and you are credentialed to be out there, just need to be out there with your car. The starting line area is not a spectator area. You can go out with your car and then come on back if you would. It's Tom Russell and Dan Sayer. Get ready to do battle. 98 Camaro taking on a 2015 Copo edition. There goes Tom. Here comes Dan. This one should be interesting. Out of Custom Images Auto Body. The Copo Camaro trying to track him down. Not going to do it. Both of them breaking out. 875 on the 882 by Sayers. 1033 by Tom on the 1035 dial. So Russell gets to bring Sparta-based machine back. Here comes Tom Patet. Yet another one of the Novas for the boys out of Orient. Alan Hollingsworth. G-Stock automatic. 455 Pontiac Firebird. The Bird gets to go first. The A-Stock automatic Chevy Nova. Thomas now trying to reel him in, and Thomas may be in trouble. Yep. 1125 by Hollingsworth on the 1124. Thomas goes 1068 on his 1064. But more importantly, Thomas was dead laid out of the gate, and Hollingsworth was ready when the tree came down. Julie Behrman, your defending champ, won it all here a year ago. That 68 Firebird over on the left-hand side. She's got to get around Tom Gilman's 4-speed 350 Camaro now. Gilman on the right side, 1084. Going to spot Julie's classic 68 Firebird. There on the left, she's going out with an 1106. Predicted elapsed time down the racetrack. Julie's out, Tom's red. Julie's 004. Tom would have been in, might have been in, could have been in trouble anyway. Super Gas needs you to the lanes, please. If you're not there yet, you're late. Julie is 004 on the tree. Runs dead on with a 7,000th package. Stock Eliminator Racing. Julie back to defend her title. Starts it off with a bang. Joe Marcinowski's 79 Camaro up now. 350 4-speed. Addition there in the left lane. Brett McFarland's 396 4-speed. 68 Hot Rod over here on the right-hand side. Handicap start goes to the mouse motor. Rat motor now trying to reel him down. Look at that Camaro work the 4-speed gearbox. Here comes charging top end. Not going to get him. 1170 by Joe. 100 miles an hour. 1156 by Brett. I do believe he missed a shift going down the racetrack as he slows way up to only 86 miles an hour down at the other end. Eric Capolito taking on Bob Alaska. Alaska's Firebird out of Chicago, New York. 350 LT1 powered machine. Taking on the 350 LT1 powered Caprice. I think Eric gets to cruise in style. Bob's going to be giving chase at a pretty good rate. One bulb on the tree difference, right at a half a second. There goes Eric. Here comes Belaska. Eric out of Salem. 19-year-old youngster at the wheel of that Caprice. Coming. Top end. Bob going to get him? Nope. 1116. Too quick by Bob. 1174. Too quick by Eric. Both our drivers running under their respective dials. True margin of victory. You take the little numbers and the big numbers and stir them all together in a pot, pour them out at the bottom end, 0.003 of a second. Capolito getting the win on that side-by-side pair. It's again a little more starting line prep. Put a little rosin down, put a little spray down, scrub it in, make sure we got good bite there on the starting line before we bring up our next pair of stock Eliminator machines. Dominic and Bruce going to do their thing. Super Gas needs you to lanes, please. Super Gas needs you to the staging lanes, please. Bruce Mayrose, youngster out of Indianapolis. 350 cubic inch Buick Apollo. If you're sitting there in the stands looking down at the car over there in the left-hand lane, say, my, that looks like a Chevy Nova. They had the Nova, the Olds Omega starting with an O, the Pontiac Ventura starting with a V, and the Buick Apollo starting with an A. So the 4 GM lines, each body style, spelled out the word Nova. Mayrose on an 1195, Dominic Petit. Up on the right-hand side, the retired Napa Big Dog, 72 Chevelle, 350 combination. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Whoever wins this one's going to be folding the reaction time over. Doesn't want to show that off. 1192, 3 under by Bruce. 1190 on the 95, 46 under by Dominic. 16 thousandths of a second, the true difference. Down at the other end of the racetrack is Aaron Allison and Rick Winchester. Roll in as we're just about to the end of round number 1. 90 car stock eliminator field. Allison in 34 the dial, another stick shift. LT1 powered Pontiac. Winchester H stock automatic, 71 Corvette. There on the right hand side. And again, Super Gas. If you are not in the lanes yet, we need you. Super Gas needs you to the staging lanes, please. Winchester on the 1150. Corvette goes first. Here comes Aaron. Ouch. The only thing I can say right now, one of the drivers dead late out of the gate. Winchester was 006. Takes the stripe by almost 2 tenths. And Aaron Allison, who was dead late out of the gate, gets a gift wrapped first round of eliminations. Rick Winchester out of Cincinnati. Well, if you're with Rick, hurry back to the trailer. Put all the large and heavy objects away. Don't want him to injure himself. Ralph Cardamone, Kenny Wichter. Witcher working his way down track. 350-69 Camaro. He'll be back for round number 2, 1141. 1204 by Cardamone's Camaro. They're on the CoughlинCars.com lane. He comes up short at the other end. Neither driver running on their respective dials. Chris Stevenson's D-Stock Automatic. Pontiac Firebird taking on last night's entertainer, PJ North. 26-year-old youngster at the wheel of that 307 Oldsmobile. 12:25 on the left lane. Red light start by PJ. 5 foul. Too quick out of the gate. Chris Stevenson. Tipton, Indiana based. Pontiac Firebird gets the cruise on through. 1077. Got 121. 12:19 by PJ. After that 5 thousandths of a second too quick start. Can you say, golly gee son of a gun, shucky darn? PJ's probably saying that and a few other things. Steve McFarland's stick shift, 350 Pontiac Firebird. Brianne Philbrick, little 262, 76 Monza. Our stock automatic entry. 1325. Brianna's going to get the go first. She'll be working her way to the racetrack, down to the other end of the racetrack. Not quite 3 seconds in front of McFarland's hot rod. Steve's going to have to try and reel her in. Brianna's green, away she goes. Steve waits for his side of the tree to flash green as well. Now the chase is on. McFarland closing in, top end, coming. Finish line, not going to get her. 13:33 on a 13:25, 1094 by Steve. Got down to the other end of the racetrack, just knew in the back of his mind that Brianna was going to be breaking out that little Monza. Oops. That one didn't go quite as planned. Brad Ross, K-Stock Automatic, Dodge, should be in the left lane. Should be taking on Steve Welker. But if you look in that left lane, there's nobody there. Steve Walker's over here on the right-hand side is 396. 69 Camaro, a competition buy run to round number 2. So he gets to cruise on in. Again, round number 2, stock coming up a little bit later on. 1081, 121 miles an hour by Steve, and he's ready for round number 2. And last but not least, Randy Butters. H stock automatic should be taking on Ron Siemenix. 93 Olds Achieva. Oh, that would have been another huge handicap start. Ron would have been in that 16 second, 17 second zone. Butter on a 12-second dial. Whew. So Randy Butter gets a competition buy as our final car comes up and goes down. Stock eliminator. Again, round number 2 coming up in a little bit, 11:37. 114 by Butter. He's your player in the next round. Super Gas. If you're not in the lanes, you're late. Round number 1 getting ready to come up now. Doug's going to slide in, tell you all about it. Super Stock. Get them ready. Your first round's going to be coming in right